What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode. And today we are talking about Peacemaker Season 2 Episode 3 titled Another Rick Up My Sleeve. So many people were speculating that there might be another Rick Flag in this other universe, but is it Junior or is it Senior? This episode we'll find out. And James Gunn jumps right into it too, so you're like, whoa, geez, spoilers immediately? So I couldn't believe that this happened in episode 3, you know, and I was like, where does the rest of the season go? This is gonna be crazy. But previously on Peacemaker, we had seen Vigilante and our Peacemaker cut up the Peacemaker from the other universe, and Vigilante enjoyed it a little too much. And ECONOMOS got a new partner in Tim Meadows' character named Fleury. Langston Fleury, I believe is his first name. And while the 11th Street kids were partying, EAGLY ripped apart Fleury and his crew that included team members nicknamed Mexicali, Encino Man, Cupid Doll, and Titties, and EAGLY fucked them all up. But back at the party, we see Peacemaker trying to talk to HARCOURT. It's not really working out, and we see how messed up HARCOURT really is. And Chris got really drunk when things didn't work out with his HARCOURT, so he started drunk texting the HARCOURT from the other universe. And she texted back, and that's where we left off last episode. And we jump right in this episode with 3 years ago. So this is set right before the events of the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad. And HARCOURT is putting on her bra after sleeping with Rick Flag Jr. And they talk about his last girl, June, or Enchantress, that we saw in the first Suicide Squad movie. So James Gunn's making June and Enchantress canon to this new DCU, even though she wasn't in his Suicide Squad movie. But HARCOURT's like, you ship out today, you should really be with June. And Flag's like, yeah, well, she's a fucking sorceress. And he can't break up with her because he's afraid that she might burrow a hole through the planet. But Flag says to HARCOURT, what about me and you? Why can't we make that work? And she's like, you're my only friend, Rick, and I think I'm yours. You want to fuck that up? And he's like, newsflash, we already fucked that up, HARCOURT, you know, by sleeping together. And, you know, so they're friends, but friends with benefits. So HARCOURT was sleeping with Flag the whole time he was with Enchantress in the first movie as well? Or just in between movies once he knew that Enchantress was crazy? But then HARCOURT says to him, you ship out to Corto Maltese in 2 hours. So this is like right before the events of the Suicide Squad. 2 hours before, you know, the morning before he goes into Belle Reve to start his journey to Corto Maltese, you know what I mean? So she's like, you ship out in 2 hours, you know, you have to get ready. So then we get like this fast forward through the events of the Suicide Squad, and we get the, you know, Rick Flag dies at the hands of Peacemaker, and he says, Peacemaker, what a joke. So our HARCOURT, though, is sleeping with Flag, and Peacemaker killed him. So maybe that's why she never thinks things will work out with this universe's Peacemaker, you know, and maybe why the other Peacemaker is able to have a relationship with HARCOURT, because he didn't kill Flag, who was like her other boyfriend. So maybe that's the reason why HARCOURT's like, yeah, things will never work out between me and Chris, because she, you know, obviously had feelings for Flag, and Peacemaker fucking killed him. And now Peacemaker's like, hey, don't you have feelings for me? And she's like, yeah, I might, but you killed my ex, you dickhead. And he's gonna be like, what, it was for peace? But I love that we just keep getting that Peacemaker, what a joke. And it just keeps coming back, and then we cut into the intro once again with the, oh, Julian, it's been a hungry world, you know, like, oh god, you never skip the intro, not in my household. And then it says, Chapter 3, Another Rick Up My Sleeve, written by James Gunn, directed by Greg Mottola, so Greg directed the last 2 episodes. As we wake up with our Chris, waking up after a heavy night of drinking at the 11th Street Kids party, but he wakes up in the other universe's Peacemaker's bed, and his brother wakes him up like, yo, where have you been? And why is there blood in the library? He's like, library? I call that the trophy room. He's like, since when? You know, like, he's acting weird, but he's like, come on, get up, man, I'll make you breakfast. And then he's starting to like take a piss, and he's looking at the phone, and he sees that he was drunk texting with HARCOURT the night before, And he set up a meeting with this universe's Harcourt to meet her at work, you know, for like just a chat at noon, which is probably like what, her lunch date or something. So this is kind of like a, hey, I have time to talk to you at lunch. You want to come by my work? And so he set up that meeting, but he looks at his phone and it's 11:30 and he's like, oh God, pee faster, you know, like we've all been there where the pee just keeps going and you're like, God, I've never peed so long in my life. How much did I drink? And the piss just keeps going, you know? So he finishes his pee and he sees that, you know, it's almost noon, so he's got to rush out of there, but he's got to get ready in a house that's not his. So he's like going through drawers in his closet and he's like, why are all these shirts so tight? And why is it like, look like the Kardashians clothing in here? Like, what the hell is this kid wearing? He's got, you know, douchey jewelry and like tight leather pants, and you know, it seems like this Peacemaker from this universe is quite the character, even more so than maybe ours. And he goes downstairs and his brother doesn't know who the Kardashians are, so James Gunn in this better universe made it so the Kardashians don't exist. Or they're just not famous, which is like, God, what a hero, James Gunn. And then he's like weirdly asking his brother like pop quiz questions. He's like, pop quiz, where's Harcourt's work and what's her address with the zip code? And he's like, why would I know the address to Argus? He's like, Argus, okay, I can work with that. And what vehicle should I take? He goes, would you give me your keys to your truck? And he goes, why wouldn't you take the Peace Cycle? And he's like, correct answer. And the brothers are sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this episode, just from like David Edmonds' reactions to Peacemaker, like he wasn't in this episode a whole lot, but I'm like, he's really won me over as Keith and as an actor. Like David Edmonds, hilarious. I like him so much now. Where before this series, I didn't really know who he was. So then Peacemaker starts ripping on the Peace Cycle and he starts jamming out to Break It Out by Ammo Track. You know, nice little banger of a song. And he's ripping into this town and he's like really enjoying this ride. Like, damn, I got a sick hog, I got dope clothes, I'm on my way to Harcourt, life's good. You know, like this dimension's sick. And he pulls up to a red light and this little kid rolls down his window and he's like, Peacemaker, I love you. And he's like, I love you too, kid. And the kid's like, you know, like he starts crying. And he's like, okay, that's a little much. And then he looks left and some lady rolls down the window, Peacemaker, and flashes him some nice pierced titties. And I was like, oh, Jesus, some pierced titties. I like some pierced titties, but so did Peacemaker apparently, because he's like, ah, best dimension ever. And he friggin' rips a wheelie. But I have a clip of this whole thing. Oh, yeah.
Love you too, little man.
Peacemaker!
That's a bit much.
Peacemaker!
Best dimension ever.
The kid crying is too funny, and I wonder if YouTube will let me show you guys the titties. I'll try and slip in those titties there for you, just so you guys can get a glimpse. It's only a quick second, but they are there. You're like, wow, some titties! But I also like that it's like, he's got like another little custom Peacemaker helmet just for like his motorcycle helmet. He rips a wheelie on his way out of there. So crazy. But then we see ADEBYO waking up, and we cut over to Harcourt's place as they're waking up the next morning after that party as well, and they're super hungover just like Peacemaker was, and Harcourt's grinding coffee beans and it's super loud, and that's what woke up ADEBYO. And everyone slept at her place, and ADEBYO is bitching and moaning, and she's like, God, you drank just as much as us, how are you not in pain? And she's like, does bitching about it help? You know, like, and I was like, she's got a point. I mean, but ADEBYO then tells Harcourt that Peacemaker stormed out of here last night. You know, did something happen? Or maybe a couple weeks ago on that party boat, did something happen between you guys? And you guys were like hanging out a lot. Like, what happened? And she's like, nothing. And Vigilante's like, something definitely happened. And she's like, how do you know? And he says, because Peacemaker is my best friend and we tell each other everything. And she's like what? And Harcourt's like, don't ask him that. You know, maybe he knows, like maybe Chris told him Vigilante about what happened on the party boat, which we still don't know what happened. I think maybe they hooked up or maybe something real embarrassing happened. Because Harcourt definitely did not want to talk about it. And it was so funny, like Vigilante's sitting in her robe and he's got those weird like Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. But shout out to Freddie frickin' Stroma because he's a full Brit and like his English accent is very good and it's not very easy, you know, like he has a good one. He definitely has a character with this character Vigilante and he's so funny. But he starts going on about, you know, ask me facts about spiders. I know the most about spiders, and spiders are my favorite ever. And Peacemaker told me that I shouldn't be embarrassed about that. And he dodges a question about, hey, how many people have you killed? And he goes, I don't know, how many is a shit ton? But stop changing the subject. I know everything there is about spiders. Quiz me. And I'm not sure why he wants to be quizzed so much about, you know, trivia facts. Maybe he just like wants to play a game with a friend. But also like, you know, he's like, ask me trivia facts. And then every time somebody like throws out a trivia fact at him, it seems like he's wrong, you know. So you're like, oh, so you don't know any facts about this, so why are you lying about knowing facts, you know? Or like maybe he just knows a fact and he's like, I know tons of shit. And then he starts to go on about crows. He switches the animal. He's like, crows, dude, they'll fucking take a paperclip and straighten it out and stab somebody or stab another bird. And she's like, do they do that? He goes, no, they don't do that, but they could. And she's like, what? And then finally Harcourt has had enough, so Harcourt tells Vigilante, hey, I just remembered John slept in the bathtub last night, and I think he might be choking on his vomit. He's like, why'd you just tell me now? And he runs into the bathroom, and we just hear in the background Vigilante fingering ECONOMOS' throat, and he's like, why are your hands in my mouth? And ECONOMOS is like, you know, gagging and shit, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck, Vigilante? And then Vigilante just goes, oh, I thought you were choking. I thought you were going to die. Do you want to quiz me on spider facts? As ADEBYO and Harcourt go to get some sun up on the roof. But checking back in with our boy Peacemaker in the other universe, he arrives on his peace cycle at Argus, and he walks in the front door, and the guard at the front desk seems to know him. But he asks him about a Mr. Grant, and I was like, that's gotta be some type of Easter egg. But, you know, he says to him, like, how does tests go? And he goes, very positive. He goes, oh, he is very positive for cancer? So, I don't know who Mr. Grant is, but this guy at the front desk now thinks that he has positive for cancer because that's what Peacemaker told him. Hope that's not true, but who's Mr. Grant? That's gotta be some type of Easter egg, but I didn't ring any bells for me other than like Stephen Grant from Moon Knight, you know, but this is a different universe. So who's Mr. Grant in the DCU? And then we see that the facial scanner of our Peacemaker in this other universe still works because he looks exactly the same. And yeah, so the retinal scanner, face scanner still works. So he ends up going in and he goes, hey, third floor, Harcourt will meet you up there. And then we cut back to ADEBYO getting real with Harcourt, talking about Peacemaker and how he's nice and he's funny and he really loves her. And he sat next to her bed for 5 days while she was in a coma. And he's attractive and yoked and he's got good hygiene. And she's like, yeah, what about the bird shit all over his apartment? He goes, well, you know, he's shaved, he's ripped, you know, he's in good shape. Like, why not? What's wrong? And she's like, Harcourt, you keep it together on the outside. You look like you're keeping it together. But since really getting to know her, she's more fucked up than anybody she knows. And Harcourt's like, what about John and Vigilante? And she's like, well, no, not them, but you're a fucking train wreck. And then ADEBYO goes, chugga, chugga, chugga. And she's like, what was that? She goes, that's you exploding because you're so fucked up. And Harcourt goes, okay, point taken, but me and Chris are never going to be a thing. And ADEBYO goes, you know that? And then it cuts away as Harcourt's like taking a sip of her drink. Like, yeah, I know that. Stop getting on my shit. I know Chris likes me. But like I was saying, maybe it's because he killed Flag and she's, you know, holds a little bit of a grudge in her heart. But what happened on the party boat? We then see Chris walk into Argus in this other universe, and it just looks like an office building, really. And we see this other EMILA from the other universe, all smiles, wearing white, chatting and giggling with the gals around the office. And she's not wearing just all black and, you know, mean mugging the whole time, resting bitch face. Even though that still looks good on Jen Holland. Friggin' so beautiful. But he's like, fuck this is stupid. When Flag Jr. walks over to him and he's like, what's up, Chris? And Peacemaker's like, Jesus Christ! And he's like, how you doing, man? You know, and then Harcourt walks over and kind of splits it up. But I have a clip of this first interaction with Peacemaker face to face with Flag again, the man that he killed in the other universe, all of a sudden face to face with.
This is fucking stupid.
Hey. What's going on, Chris?
Jesus fucking Christ.
You got like some business or something here?
What's up, Rick? How you doing, man?
Chris.
Yeah, I was just asking him what he's doing here. If he's got like something official or something I should be a part of.
No, Rick, it's personal.
Personal.
It's, friendly. Chris wanted to talk.
Just wanted to talk, huh? Like about what, dude?
Hey, Rick, you let us talk?
Yeah, of course. Cool.
So, hey.
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 Oh, my God. I am so sorry. He was not supposed to be in today.
The jarhead.
I don't know why you and Keith call him that. He's Army, not Marines, so not a jarhead.
Yeah. Right.
Let's just go out.
Shit. Hey, that's not supposed to be around the corner. I told you that. See, this is all a big problem.
Oh god, the funniest thing is the end of the clip. He's like, why is this other universe Rick Flag such a dork? And like, he's like peeking over the thing and he's like tiptoeing trying to hide when they can clearly see him. And he like tries to tiptoe, knocks over the trash barrel, like makes the guy move. And James Gunn said the end part that he says at the very end was unscripted, and he sits down and goes, big problem, right? So like, seeing this Peacemaker with his girlfriend going, oh, it's personal, I gotta go talk to Chris, we're gonna leave, and he's like, this is bad, this is a big problem. Huge nerd in the other universe, where like our Flag was like this big Marine jarhead, and we find out that he's not a jarhead at all. Like, so funny. So finally Harcourt's like, I gotta get out of here, this dude's being weird, you want to leave and go for a walk or something? So then they go down in the elevator, and as soon as they get in, it's a little awkward for a second. He makes a dumb elevator joke and gets her to giggle, and then they're off and running. We then cut back to see ECONOMOS in the bathtub asking Vigilante tarantula facts, and he's still sitting in the tub in Harcourt's house, and Vigilante gets the question wrong again, and John gets a call from Sasha Bordeaux, and she's like, why didn't you tell me that Peacemaker has a superpowered duck? And he's like, he doesn't, he just has a regular eagle. Well, that regular eagle took out 5 of our agents, put one of them in the ICU, and one of them lost an eye, and another one needs to have reconstructive face surgery. And he says, I'm on my way. And Fleury says, he told me it was a duck. Why would a man take advantage of another man's bird blindness? At first I thought it was really dumb, the bird blindness, but now it's just damn funny. And the fact that Tim Meadows says the names, like, you got titties hurt, goddammit, you know, and like last episode he goes, titties, hang in there, you know, like, and he said it without breaking and so serious, like, oh god, Tim Meadows is such a gift. Oh, I love it. But ECONOMOS goes to get up out of the tub, and he's like, where are my pants? And he's just like in his underoos. And Vigilante's like, I washed, dried, and folded them. They're on the kitchen counter. And he's like, why the fuck would you do that? And like, because Vigilante is a great friend and cares about you, ECONOMOS. God, he was willing to finger your throat to make sure you weren't choking on your own throw up and dying. I wouldn't do that. I would just let you die. I don't like throw up. It's gross. But we then see back in the other universe, our Chris and Emilia Harcourt are going for a walk down the street, and they walk past this giant mural of himself, his father, and brother, the top trio as heroes in this other universe, and they have a mural up on the side of this building. And she buys him a hot dog, and she puts a ton of mustard on it accidentally, and he makes jokes and gets her to laugh, and they start dying laughing over this. And so they start going for like a walk, and this is like a montage set to Dreamer by Ozzy Osbourne, and they're walking through the park and giggling, and she stops and pets a puppy, and then they like finish their hot dog and they sit down on a park bench. And our Peacemaker really opens up to HARCOURT, and this is something that the other universe's Peacemaker clearly didn't do. And the other Peacemaker broke HARCOURT's heart and apparently was sleeping around and cheating on her, and seems like a real bro-y gym douche bro, you know what I mean? Like, just the worst of the bros this other Peacemaker was. Like, I thought ours was a bit of a shitbag. This other one is a complete shitbag, but yet he's the hero, you know what I mean? Like, I actually love our Peacemaker as a human, and yet he's a terrible person as well, you know? And you're like, he's been through some problems. He's okay. He's a good guy, you know? Like, maybe that's just the John Cena of it all. I'm like, I love him, but that other good Peacemaker, I'm like, he's a fuck. We only got to see him get killed for, you know, so we only saw him for a brief second, and in his brief moments, and what we've heard about him, he sounds like a real douche. So that's my takes on Earth 2 Peacemaker, if you would. But as Peacemaker's talking to HARCOURT, he's like, you know, I've been thinking about things a lot more. And he's like really down to earth talking to her and, you know, expressing his feelings. And he's like, things have changed and I've been changing and things have really changed. And she's like, wow, you really have changed. But as they're talking, someone runs by and falls on the ground and blows up right in front of them and knocks them back off of the park bench. And the people that were running with him just go, oh no, Jerry. And it's like, dude, Jerry just blew up into pieces. And you're like, Jerry, no. Like, what the fuck? Like, what were you bombers up to? And we see that this is like suicide bombers that name themselves the Sons of Liberty. And they're taking over government buildings, and they're taking over this building, and they have hostages, and, you know, they're like, God damn it, the Sons of Liberty are at it again. So our Peacemaker jumps into action and sees a rooftop that he can get into the, you know, other building from. So he climbs up to the roof and jumps from one rooftop to the other building, and as he's doing it, we see a Mighty Crabjoy's billboard on the roof as he's jumping through the window. But as he goes through the window of the next building, one of these Sons of Liberty hears him, and he's like, what was that? And they're like, go check it out. So that guy goes to investigate the noise. And I have this clip of this guy going to investigate. It's brutal.
Wait, what happened?
Ooh, I just loved like the guy, like he gets hit and he's just like, huh, and he takes it out and he's just like, wait, what happened? You know, so it's like almost like the axe went just enough to hit the memories of whatever just happened, and then he takes it out and he goes, oh, I don't feel anything. Nothing feels wrong. What happened? And then he slices his throat. Blood goes all over his face. I'm like, oh, boy. So Peacemaker saw terrorists. He's like, good, I get to kill. You know, like, jumps right into action. I thought he didn't want to kill anymore. Apparently, when it's up to terrorists, he's like, I'm all good. I got to get back to my date. But I'm also wondering if this bro-y, you know, Earth 2 Peacemaker from the other universe is also a killer like ours, because nobody seems to really react too much when they see him, you know, murdering folk. But our Chris sneaks up behind one of the Sons of Liberty that's holding a woman hostage and yelling at the police out the window, and he sneaks up and like grabs his knife and like grabs him, and he's trying to like stab the guy, and he hip thrusts his back, like almost like humps him in the back, or like just knees him in the back, and knees the guy directly into his own knife, and he stabs himself in his own eye. I was like, ooh, that's a hell of a way to go. And then he uses like a printer copier machine type thing to kill another guy, and then like drop kicks him into the wall, and as he's like fighting with that guy, like the guy's moving his gun and kills another girl in the hallway, you know, so he's wiping these people out. One on, yeah, I think it was at least 1 on 10 or something like that. And then he kills a guy, you know, he's like on the ceiling, which I would have loved to see what he was hanging from, because it looked like he was almost just like in like this office building, and he just like jumped up to the ceiling and like was Spider-Man just hanging there, all of a sudden swung down and kills a guy with a pencil, but does it through both ears instead of like how John Wick or even like Heath Ledger's Joker did it through the eyeball, you know, holding it on the table, slam the eyeball, or through the neck the way John Wick does it. He did it through both ears. I thought that was a nice little touch. You know, holds him up for a second, kills that guy. And then the rest of the Sons of Liberty triggered the bomb, and they try and make a run for the roof to make an escape. And Chris shoots all of them in the stairwell as they're running up, and he runs out of bullets and throws a gun at the last guy and knocks him down, and then picks up his gun and shoots him with his own gun. I was like, oof. And then Peacemaker has 10 seconds to defuse the bomb, and he defuses the bomb and he gets the job done. And this is like the first time that like our Chris has like been a hero, even though he did it in his own way, killing all of them. But you know, his brother comes in and takes out the helicopter. Big explosion in the background with like a thumbs up as Harcourt looks on all happy. And then the crowd like cheers for him as his brother comes down and like dabs him up, and he's like, way to go with the bomb, Crisper. And he like, you know, hugging Harcourt. He's like, best dimension ever. But I have a clip of Chris defusing the bomb.
Stop the bomb?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking Crisper! Yeah!
Best dimension ever.
So we get a closer look at his brother's suit a little bit there, and like I don't know if we've actually got it confirmed, maybe in one of those news articles, but I don't have zoom and enhance like some of these motherfuckers do. So I don't pause my screen and walk up with a magnifying glass and start reading shit. Maybe one day, but for this episode I didn't, at least. So I don't know if we know the name of Keith's, you know, hero. Like, what is his Peacemaker name? Something Red Dragon, something, you know, probably not. Probably something from the comic books. But I believe I've heard it said. I just can't remember it off the top of my head at the moment. But like, I just thought it was hilarious. The explosion goes off and it's like, cool guys don't look back at explosions. And he's just like, but he was like running out with like scared with the crowd, and all of a sudden the explosion goes off and he kind of like looks at her for a second. He's kind of like, I'm all good. And Harcourt's like, oh, yay. And then his brother like dabs him up, you know, like, so he's getting some bro time, but he's also, you know, kicking ass, you know, and he best universe ever. But we cut back over to see ECONOMOS go and join Sacha Bordeaux at the hospital with the rest of the team members that were there with Fleury, and she thinks that he tipped off Peacemaker to have his eagle there. And Fleury thinks that he was using his bird blindness against him, and he's like, it's not funny, man, you almost got titties killed. And Sasha asked an eagle hunter named Red Street Wild, I think it's Red State Wild, played by Michael Rooker, and he's like, I'm the best at killing eagles. And he's like, kill any eagles in the area. And she's like, just the one. He's like, okay, you know, so like, oh boy, EAGLY, watch out. And then she also has partnered up ECONOMOS with someone she calls Rip Jagger. And he's like, who's Rip Jagger? And we see that Judo Master is back from last season, and he still loves his Cheetos. And Cupidol was also there as well. And Sasha said, since the Metropolis incident, every event of these like portals has been Argus's top priority, and has every agent on their way to Peacemaker's house right now. And ECONOMOS is either in or he's fired, so he's like, okay, I'm in. But the clip of, you know, Sasha and ECONOMOS and Fleury fighting is too funny.
Blame him. I told him about the eagle.
You told me it was a duck.
The fuck I did. Why would I say an eagle is a
A
duck?
practical joke. Trying to use my disability against me. Is it funny? Yeah. But you almost got titties killed.
I said eagle.
None of this matters. After the Metropolis incident took out half the city, these type of threats are Argus' top priority. I have every agent in the Northwest on the way to Smith's home now. And I brought a Red State Wild here to assist. World's foremost eagle hunter.
Eagle hunter? He's gonna kill
You
Eagly?
can't take chances.
Ain't no one kills an eagle more good than me.
Yeah, that's nothing to be proud of.
First, we kill the bird.
And any other eagle in the vicinity.
No, just the bird in the house.
Aw.
Then we do our best to take Smith alive.
I'm sorry, our best?
But if he really is in possession of a dimensional portal, he's not going to see the outside of a prison for the rest of his life. Are you in or not?
I'm not. Fuck this.
Then you're fired.
I'm in, but I don't want to work with some piece of shit eagle killer.
Oh, come on, man.
You don't have to. Rip Jagger.
Who the fuck is Rip Jagger?
Hey, fatty.
Fuck! You know, like, he's so upset that Judo Master's back when they had a fight last season. He's like, what's up, fatty? Still eating Cheetos. But Tim Meadows, man, I really can't get over that. Is it funny using my bird blindness against me? Yeah, but you almost got titties killed. And he just turns and looks at Sasha and goes, I didn't say it was a duck. I said it was an eagle. And she's like, whatever. You know, but like also Sasha Bordeaux, freaking Sol Rodriguez. Oh, God, she is so beautiful. I'm so in love with that woman. She's like, I said it a couple episodes ago, she's my new crush and I'm so obsessed. I'm like, ah, too pretty. I can't do something bad so I can't like you so much. You know what I mean? Although she was just talking about possibly having to kill Peacemaker or throw him in prison forever for having this technology, but like, it was his. It was his dad's. It was in his closet. What's the big deal? The fuck, it's not a big deal. Yeah. But cutting back over to the other universe, our Chris is texting Harcourt and things seem to have been getting better between the two of them and maybe things will get patched up and they'll live happily ever after in this other universe. But he's not her Peacemaker and she's not his Harcourt. And then his brother comes in to have like a celebratory drink with him for, you know, saving the day and stopping the bomb. And he, you know, starts to have like a heart-to-heart with him. He's like, you're not doing drugs again, are you? I'm really worried about you. You've been disappearing a lot, which is like, also begs the question, like, what was this other Peacemaker up to? That he was up to some weird shit that his father and brother didn't know. Who's that Mr. Grant that the guy at the front desk of Argus was talking about? Like, what was this other Peacemaker up to? And what was he in Bloodhaven doing the night that he got murdered by this Peacemaker? You know what I mean? Like, I have some questions about this other Peacemaker, and I wonder if we'll get a flashback of, like, the other Peacemaker and see more of him and what happened in his day-to-day and what he was up to. And then Chris tells his brother that he really misses him and really missed him, and this is really saying like, I'm sorry I killed you. And his brother says, you know, and this is like a big emotional moment between the brothers, and then Keith ends it with, I'll always be your big bro, you can always talk to me about anything. And he's like, I love you, buddy, you did good today. And he walks away and just emotionally healing our Peacemaker's soul with the love of his lost brother that he had killed in his own universe, you know what I mean? So like, I think the more time he spends with this other universe, the worse, but also the better for his, like, soul. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, my dad loves me, my brother loves me, and then, like, every time he comes back home to his universe, he's like, God, I'm a piece of shit. I killed my brother. I killed my father. My dad's a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. We're all killers, you know? Like, in this other universe, there may be also killers and maybe racist piece of shits. We haven't really seen that, but they're heroes in that other universe, so they're at least better at hiding it in the other universe. And he's the blue dragon, his father, instead of the red dragon. So we didn't see him this episode, so I wonder what he was up to. And then Animal by Sinning plays as we see Argus loading up heavy this time. Not fucking around, going back to Peacemaker's place. Mexicali has a little cut on his face and he has like a bandage. And so he's still there, and a bunch of new Argus people are arriving for EAGLY to fuck up. While our Peacemaker is walking back from the other universe into his room. Right as, you know, so he's arriving back home and he's like, oh God, I love it so much in that other universe. He's gonna like peek out the blinds and be like, holy shit, there's an army of Argus outside. EAGLY, we gotta fucking go, you know? Like, so that seems like where the start of next episode is gonna be. They're gonna maybe be on the run, running away from the house and trying to, you know, get out of Dodge and not get arrested by Argus. And this is where we go to credits on episode 3, and then the post-credit scene of this episode. We see how Economos lost his pants and Vigilante coming in the middle of the night and taking the pants off of Economos in the bathtub, and he's like super drunk, like passed out in the bathtub. He takes his pants off of him and pets his leg and says, "Sleep well," and then kisses him on the forehead and leaves, and that's like the end of the episode. It's just like, so he took Economos' pants, washed them, and dried them for him. Cool. Good friend? Weird friend? Good friend? You decide. Let me know. If your friend did that, would it be like, oh, you're such a nice guy, or like, what a weirdo. But then the trailer for next week seems like shit's really hitting the fan, and EAGLY and Peacemaker might be going on the run, like I was saying. And it seems like Michael Rooker's character is going to be hunting down EAGLY and maybe killing EAGLY. So, oh god, if James Gunn kills EAGLY, I'll be very upset. But maybe Chris runs with the technology from the closet as well. You know, maybe he doesn't just run with EAGLY. He takes the technology and EAGLY and runs with everything. And maybe he's like trying to set it up somewhere else in the trailer, it maybe seems like. And then, you know, they're sitting there going, you're not really going to go back there. And he's like, I have to. So maybe next episode, the halfway point of the season, episode 4, our Chris from this universe will get fed up with the universe that he's from and actually just be like, whatever, I'm done with it, and decide that it's officially time to go to the other universe and live with the other HARCOURT and maybe try and make that work in the other universe and be a hero and be a good guy, you know? Like, it's very tempting, like, oh, I'm a bad guy over here. Let me go to this universe and be a hero. The babes like me, you know, I'm getting flashed at stoplights. Kids are crying when they see me, and not for the reasons that they do in this universe, you know? Like, he's not a bad guy that has, you know, a bunch of kids running around that he doesn't know, and well, maybe he does, but, you know, but like, I don't know. He wants to be this good Peacemaker, but he killed that Peacemaker. And then the more we learn about that Peacemaker, it doesn't seem like that guy was so good either, you know? So, like, what is going on in Earth 2? Is it shady shit, and it's just like, you know, this cover of it looks great and everything's fine, but it's actually really fucked up? You know, maybe it's even more fucked up than the universe that Peacemaker came from. And by the end of this season, he's going to have to learn, like, yeah, I think I was better off where I was, and I shouldn't have been questioning, you know, shit. You know, I should have just been like, yeah, I'm good where I'm at. Life's good. I killed my racist father. I killed my brother, and I killed myself from another universe. I'm moving on. I don't know if he can move on either. What's going to happen to poor Peacemaker? Is James Gunn going to just kill him in the final episode of this season and no more Peacemaker after this? I don't know. I don't think so. But do you see Peacemaker maybe getting a film in the future? Or maybe James Gunn just continues doing seasons of Peacemaker in between his movies? But if you guys didn't hear, just the other day, James Gunn announced that the next sequel to the Superman 2025 film will be called Man of Tomorrow. And that will be like his Superman sequel, I guess. And probably have a bunch of Justice Gang, and probably have more of Lex Luthor and Superman, and maybe Lex Luthor in some power armor type of deal, you know, in like his Kryptonian armor that he uses in the comics to fight against Clark Kent, you know, in Superman. So that could be very interesting, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section about Peacemaker Season 3, or if you'd like to message me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. But thank you guys so much for coming on by. I'm having so much fun doing these episodes of Peacemaker, and we got, what, 5 more episodes, 5 more weeks, so stay tuned. If you guys want to see more Peacemaker content in the future, make sure you hit that bell so you get the notifications when they come out. If you want to support the channel, liking this video, commenting down below, and subscribing is the best way to do that. Once again, thank you guys so much. My name's Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!